Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode. I'm so excited today. We have a special guest, Jennie Stowe. Jennie is a certified bookkeeper and QuickBooks ProAdviser who helps female service providers in the US with their bookkeeping so they can focus their time on booking more clients and making more money. So that's a yay. We want to make more money. And we've had mostly coaches on the show. So we have, the reason why I say Jennie is a special guest is she's actually going to help us a lot here with the business side, which, if you're listening to my show for any length of time or know me for any length of time, I talk about taking structured action on the business side all the time. And this would be way up there as far as the bookkeeping. So welcome, Jennie.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Oh, awesome. So tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, so I am a bookkeeper, obviously. I started my business so that I could be home with my son to raise him, and I've always dreamed of being a bookkeeper, working for myself and not someone else. So it was just the perfect opportunity, and I'm just excited to share my passion with other people who may not be passionate about bookkeeping, but it is so important for all businesses. So I love to share.
Awesome. So yeah, I come from the finance world, corporate, and I was a bookkeeper at one point. And I was an accounting manager as well at one point.
Okay.
So I understand that side of it, but I'll tell you what, it was different when I started my own business.
Yes, it really is.
It kind of just, for some reason, you just forget, basic banking and and finance management when you're in your own business. So I'm really excited to have you talk us through some of this. So let's start with kind of a general question as far as what does a new coach do when they do get into this business and they're like, all I want to do is get clients. I don't really want to pay attention to much else. But what are some of the things there that they need to do?
Yeah, so first of all, you need to separate your business finances from your personal finances. So a lot of people forget that step at the beginning. But at the bare minimum, you want to set up a business checking account so that you can record all of your financials separately from your personal. And then, sometimes you need a credit card or multiple accounts, but you can start with one checking account, and that's a good place to start.
Okay.
And the other thing to keep in mind when you're starting out is that keeping up with your bookkeeping from the beginning of your business will save you both, time, money, and a lot of stress, especially come tax season. So get ahead of the game and you'll thank yourself later.
Yeah. And I can attest to that. I actually had to redo, full disclosure here, but I had to redo a couple of years of taxes from the beginning of my business because I just didn't do it right.
Right. And the IRS doesn't take kindly to that.
Yeah.
So
not a good thing. Not a happy time anyway.
No, not at all. Yeah. So separate your financials and then keep basic records from the beginning. So that can be just a basic spreadsheet when you start out and you don't have a budget for bookkeeping. But you want to track all of your income and your expenses and kind of categorize them so that you know exactly what's going on. There are also a few free bookkeeping apps out there, which are a great option when you're first starting out, but you usually have to upgrade from them pretty quickly to something a little more all-encompassing when it comes to bookkeeping.
So what are the basics they should look for in a free app?
Yeah, so you want to make sure that you can connect your bank accounts to the software so that all your transactions are syncing in your software. And you should also be able to reconcile your bank accounts, which some of them do not allow. But you want to make sure that you're always reconciling. And I know a lot of people don't know what this means, but you want to make sure that your what's coming through the bank feed in your software matches up with what is actually in your bank account, and that there are no errors or missing numbers anywhere.
So that'd be like, just for those listening that don't know, that's like when you have a personal checking account and you get your statement, like we used to get the checks. You'd get your statement and you'd walk through, make sure all the checks were on the statement and everything that was on the statement was in the envelope. So you're reconciling that and making sure that the amounts match up as well. So I think that's without the physical checks, that's the same thing.
It really is. It really is.
So
And
let me ask you this real quick. So
yeah.
When you said the bank accounts sync, most online coaches are going to use something like PayPal or Stripe or things
Mhm.
along those lines. So are those free apps also, and you want them to sync with those as well?
Preferably, yes. That is definitely helpful for keeping track of all of your records.
Okay.
All of that eventually makes it to your bank account. So if you can't sync it right at the beginning, it's usually okay, but it's better if you can.
Okay.
Yeah, so the other thing you need to make sure you're doing is saving all of your receipts. And some people would like to do that with paper copies, but that just gets messy. So I usually recommend saving them electronically in a Google Doc or something like that.
Okay. So I just have which my bookkeeper is setting me up on a regular system. I know there's apps out there that you can do for, to save those electronic receipts. But right now I just save everything in a PDF and I throw it into a year, like 2020, all my receipts go in there. But there's something that there are online apps where you can just do things like take a picture on your phone and it automatically goes in there, right? And it gets recorded.
There are. And I don't know of any free ones off of the top of my head. Like I know QuickBooks Online you can do that within their app. And it syncs automatically with your QuickBooks if you're using that software.
Okay.
And the last thing that you should be aware of when you're starting out is, figuring out how you're going to be invoicing and receiving payments, which you kind of mentioned already. And I wanted to just mention a couple that you probably should not be using. And the first one is Venmo. A lot of people like to receive payment through Venmo because it's free, but it's really only for peer-to-peer use and not business use. And you can actually, if Venmo realizes that you're using it for business, they will charge back all of your payments received. And you don't want to be in that boat.
Oh, wow. So Venmo is owned by PayPal, right?
I'm actually not sure on that one.
Yeah, I think they are.
It? Okay.
And so that's probably why they do that, because they want you to use their PayPal and not the Venmo app.
Yeah. And PayPal was the other one I was going to mention. You can use it, but it's not great on the bookkeeping side of things. Like when you're working with the software, it gets very messy and confusing. And if you're trying to simplify your books, PayPal isn't a great option.
Well, I can say that you're going to find most coaches are using some or like Stripe or so. Which one would you say is beneficial for coaches because of the online payments?
So Stripe and Square, okay. I usually recommend that if you're able to afford a small monthly fee for your bookkeeping software anyways, I recommend using QuickBooks Online at the essential level. That's the basic level, and that's great for coaches starting out. And through that, you can use the QuickBooks payments. And so everything syncs right in your bookkeeping software.
Okay.
So you can send an invoice, they can pay through the invoice. You can even set up direct deposit that way. And the fees are usually slightly better than Stripe, Square, PayPal, all of those. They're very close, but they're usually just a little bit cheaper.
Okay. And is the Essentials the one that's $10 a month or something?
No, that would be the self-employed, which isn't technically a full bookkeeping software either. Okay. So it's about $25 a month when you have the full rate. You can usually get it half price for the first 3 months.
Okay, awesome. All right, and then so you talked about the kind of the 3 essential things that coaches need to know when they first get started. How about as far as keeping our own books versus hiring someone to do them?
Yes. So I know at the beginning of businesses, everyone's looking for ways to save money because it's very easy to rack up those expenses. So at the beginning, you can definitely keep your own books. Just be sure to keep accurate and detailed records. And if you don't have a budget for bookkeeping, then use a spreadsheet. And you want to track that income, any separate streams you have, you want to kind of keep track of that, and then categorize all of your expenses. And then make sure you can see your income minus expenses, and then see that bottom line, whether you're making a profit or a loss, each month. Because it's really important to know what's going on in your business. And if you are even making a profit, there are a lot of people who actually have no idea because they don't have it recorded anywhere. So be sure to do that. And then if you can't afford that small monthly fee, you can go ahead and work in QuickBooks Online. I usually recommend. It's very user-friendly, but it's also really helpful often to have a bit of instruction on actually how to work within the software. And for those people who are interested in that, I actually created an online course to teach them how to keep their own books, and it's literally called Keep Your Own Books, The Entrepreneur's Guide to Small Business Accounting.
Awesome.
And that takes you from setting up your QuickBooks Online account, how to keep your monthly records, how to close everything out at the end of the year, and yeah, it's all there.
Okay, so tell us about that. It's a self-study course?
Yes, it is. It is self-study, and you also have access to me. If you have any questions, you can send me emails at any point in time, and there's also a free call that goes along with that. If you have questions, we can hop on a call and we can even dive right into your books together.
Oh, awesome. And where would they find that?
That you can find on my Facebook page or on my website, and my website is stowebookkeeping.com.
And we'll have that link in our show notes so that they can click right through. So awesome. So they start out doing it themselves, using the spreadsheet, maybe taking your course to learn how to use the QuickBooks. What is the time, or what is the kind of deciding factor when they really need to start outsourcing it?
That's a great question. So a lot of people just get to the point when they realize that they can't afford not to have a bookkeeper anymore. And sometimes you have to consider, what is your time actually worth, and how much time are you spending on trying to keep up with your books, or are you even spending any time at all on your books? Because it is so important. You need to make sure that that is happening. And how stressful is it for you to keep your own books? So you kind of consider all those things, and when you decide that it's worth maybe $200, $300 or more dollars, depending on your business and what's going on in there, to have that peace of mind that your books are in order, that your taxes are going to be prepared properly, that you're going to get the most out of the deductions and all when you send your books over to your tax preparer, then it just might be time, knowing your profits and just making sure everything's in order in case you ever do get an IRS audit. I mean, we all hope that it never happens, but some of us are going to have it.
That's true. You hear about that stuff.
Yeah.
So what does it typically look like to work with a bookkeeper as a coach? Like, how much time does it take them? And, what an average investment, what does that look like?
Yeah. So, all bookkeepers are slightly different. But normally when you first start working with a bookkeeper, it takes a little bit more time because there's a lot of going back and forth as you kind of set up your books and as the bookkeeper learns your business. So it takes a little bit more time with the setup. And then once you've gotten your system down, it's not a lot of time investment on the coach's side. So what I do with my clients is if there are a few questions that arise throughout the month, I'll send them an email, we'll get those answered. And then we have a monthly meeting where we meet together and go over the financial reports and make sure that they actually understand what's going on in their business. And we can dive on in if there are any questions, or if something doesn't look quite right, we figure out why and work at that together.
Okay, awesome. And so what are some of the benefits to having your books being kept well for coaches?
Yeah, so knowing exactly where your money's coming from, exactly where it's going, and even just recognizing if there are any redundancies in your expenses, because a lot of times we just kind of sign up for things and don't realize that, hey, this one could be doing that job and we can eliminate some extra expenses there. Knowing your profits and kind of knowing where to spend your time in your business, because you can see which services you're offering are actually bringing in money.
Yeah, so knowing,
is really important.
I like that part especially. So knowing when what's profitable and what's not. So
Yeah.
we talk about that a lot in my group, and we talk about, it's spend of time and energy, which turns into money. So
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, and then typically, like, what is the range of like a cost that it would for somebody to have a bookkeeper? And you don't have to share your exact cost, just in general.
Right. Well, it does vary depending on the size of your business. So if you are a new business, then generally, $150 is probably the minimum you're going to find anywhere for a bookkeeper a month. That can keep going on up depending on how big you are.
Yeah. Okay. So just for those listening, when you get to about, the time when you feel like your money is not fully known to you, like where your money's going, and then definitely when you have enough profit that you're able to put out,
Right.
$150 or more a month for the bookkeeping. But in the meantime, using that spreadsheet, and definitely if you're in my group, I have a spreadsheet you can use. It's in the units as a template, and it's just called Coach's Income and Expense Sheet. That's all it is.
That's great.
To help people out. But so tell me, what would be the kind of the top 3 things? Well, what I'm thinking is, like, another benefit is to knowing where our money is and where our time is being spent is also, like, when we really want to start expanding our business, and we want to take loans, or, we want to build up things where there's credit involved.
Yes.
It's very difficult to do as a solopreneur without good books, right?
That's very, very true. If you want to find investors or get a loan out from a bank, they're going to want to see definitely your profit and loss report. And if you don't have books, you're not going to have that.
Right. And also, like, things like business credit cards, or like business credit in any area. Normally they're going to ask for, some sort of P&L, or
right,
or whatever, a K, whatever that's called for your LLC. What is it, a K5 or something? So there's going to be things that they're going to ask for when you want to do things on the business side.
Definitely.
All right. So so what would be like a main kind of tip or takeaway that you'd want coaches to understand about the bookkeeping? Like something that would, we're kind of we're not too practical usually, right? I mean, some of us are, but there's not that kind of practical side. So there has to be an inspirational side as well. So inspirational wise, what would you say is a good tip, something that they could really think about and take to heart?
Yeah, let me think here.
Put you on the spot.
I know.
Well, let me ask you this. What is it? So how long have you been, doing work as a bookkeeper?
Yes, I've had my own business for over a year now.
Okay. And what did you do before that?
I was actually a birth doula.
Were you really?
I was.
Oh, how cool.
Totally different. I've loved bookkeeping for many, many years, but it took me a little while to actually make it happen.
Oh, awesome. So when you think about how you made that happen, especially going from something so different into bookkeeping, on the financial side or the bookkeeping side for yourself, what was important when you started your business?
Yeah. It was really important for me to see where my money was coming from and to know that I was actually making a profit. And I'm a numbers person, so I want to know that, yes, this is how much money I am taking home at the end of the month. And without having accurate records, how do you know you actually have that?
Right. And that can get you into other kind of areas too, like pay, we all have to pay bills.
Right.
But
right.
Paying ourselves.
And taxes.
Yeah, and taxes. But paying ourselves sometimes gets pushed to the side. So I think if you know where your money is and you know how much money you have at the end of the month firmly, then
Yeah.
you're also able to know how much you can pay yourself and what you can use out of your own business.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. So you have a free gift for my audience. Would you tell us about that?
I do, yes. It's just my 5 tips on streamlining and simplifying your bookkeeping. So you can go ahead and check those out, and I hope you find it helpful.
All right, awesome. We have the link to that in the show notes as well, so you can click through to that. And then you have your course. What was the course again?
It's Keep Your Own Books, the Entrepreneur's Guide to Small Business Accounting.
I love that. Keep Your Own Books, Entrepreneur's Guide. So you can find that from Jennie's website as well, and we'll have the link for that too in the show notes. And then how about like a final word for our audience? What would you say?
Good luck in your business. Start with your bookkeeping now so that you save yourself that time, money, and stress before tax season hits. And yeah, go out and have fun, but don't forget about the business side.
Okay. And so what size businesses do you work with mainly?
I work with small to medium size, usually solopreneurs.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So if you looking for a bookkeeper, we have Jennie right here. If you're looking for some free tips, she's got those as well on our website. And then she's also got a course. So awesome. So thank you so much, Jennie, for joining us today. Guys, I hope you've gotten something out of this and that you are doing some bookkeeping. And if you aren't, that you kind of take the leap and start doing it now. So thanks a lot for listening, and we'll see you on the next show. Thank you so much, Jennie, for joining us.
Thank you so much, Cheryl, for having me.